I'm Luis Gaitan. I'm a lifelong Camden resident, except for that time I went to college and got lost on a trip to Afghanistan. Um, yeah. I'm trying to think which one is the...
If you want to go forward, step on. There.
All right, there we go. So here's Camden, 10 square miles. This was a quick and dirty PowerPoint presentation, so don't mind that part. Thank you, Sue. Sure. But I just wanted to cover, I'm an engineer by trade. I design highways and bridges, so please don't worry about driving on 95. Camden by the numbers. I really wanted to get into some of the numbers that don't agree with some of the, I guess, Florio report that came out after the Phil Murphy scathing review. And it kind of shows a stark difference between the population that's coming into Camden and the population that's been there their whole lives and even generations. So getting into it, 74,000 people currently live in the city of Camden. That's close to an all-time low. This city in its heyday used to have the 120,000 people that are currently working with, or when the city's in full capacity, it actually holds up to 120,000 people. In terms of poverty rate and unemployment, we're seeing almost like a threefold difference. Poverty rate in Camden is 3 times the state average. The unemployment rate is also almost 3 times the state average. And then when you look at the average household income, that's almost a threefold difference. And these are 2018 numbers. Let's think about how long this tax incentive program has been in effect. Let's think about how many times have we been told Camden's rising. And we look at these stark differences in the two populations operating in this city. So, some additional numbers I also have. Camden just got its, I guess they did an average of the credit score in Camden, and that's actually in the top 10 worst in the country in terms of credit score for a city. That's not helpful in terms of getting families into long-term housing. That's not helpful into building wealth. We're talking about one medical mistake or accident, and that cripples a family possibly for a generation. Not to mention our housing stock is getting lower and lower by accidental fires, which are unfortunately common in our community. And we're seeing no kind of a filling of that gap with this Camden Rising initiative to kind of fill that need for low-income, affordable housing. And one thing I do want to mention with this all-time low population, not that the Hoboken and Camden City, I guess, they're both very similar cities in terms of geography, but Hoboken is right across the water from one of the greatest metropolitan areas in our country, just like Camden is across from Philadelphia. Hoboken did see its own population dip right before it kind of went into this massive extreme gentrification swing that now has an average household cost of $600,000. That's not something that's realistic for our 74,000 people. It's not something realistic in terms of how we address this generational wealth gap that's going on in the city. So, back into my hometown. All right. These tax incentive programs, they're this playground of incentives are all located on the waterfront. This, as we can all see, and does anyone remember the Holtec situation and how ugly that was? And how I guess that kind of showed the ugly colors of what the leaders at the top think of the Camden residents and what kind of hope they had in terms of where our residents can go. Campbell's Field, does anyone know where that is now? Demolished to the ground. That's kind of an example of some of the risk we're taking with taxpayer money. And it doesn't really show, there haven't been any, I guess, or accountability issues that I mentioned in my op-ed. This has just continued to be a playground on the waterfront while our surrounding neighborhoods are seeing no extreme or tangible benefits to the ground. So a tale of two cities. As much as they don't want to hear it, Camden Rising does appear to be, at first glance, a tale of two cities. Me as a lifelong Camden resident, I can't say I'm seeing any tangible benefits in my own neighborhood. I grew up in East Camden, outside of the green area. And one of the major, I guess, statistics that drives me crazy is our downtown is actually not the heaviest foot traffic part of our town. Our highest concentration of small businesses are each of these 6 green lines. They have the highest density of small business, Camden-owned businesses. They hire Camden residents at a rate higher than 75%. Which one of these companies can say that? Which one of these companies can claim that high of a number? That's what drives me crazy, and I want to bring back the small business and entrepreneurship market into our city.